Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cream City Cousins. I'm your host, Jason. Joining me, as always, is my cousin, the Steve. Ooh.
Dude, what the hell is this?
Okay, I think I zoomed the wrong cousin. That's my bad.
Welcome to Court Cousins. Two cousins sharing laughs and talking the team they love, the Orlando Magic. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody, to Court Cousins episode 10. It is Thursday, January 6th. My name is Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, my cousin, the Pich, Jason. We've got a great episode for you. Number 10, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we'll do a ROLO Check In, scour the interwebs for your posts about the Magic and the social media roundup. Then Pich will take us through what I learned in the past few games. We'll play some starter, backup, and bench, and we'll finish it off with finishing out this month's Court Cousins Championship. And as we always like to do, Pich, I'm going to kick it to you where we check in with each other on the scale of a Robin Lopez. How you doing for the ROLO Check-In, sir?
Well, it's been an interesting week for me, and I selected this pile of Rolos for a couple of reasons. First of all, I miss the guy. I miss seeing him laying on the bench or occasionally coming in and hooking in shots. But also because I wanted to show the amount of teams that he's played for. This is something that I identify with from all the places I've moved in my life, be it Boston or Milwaukee or Austin. And another move is coming for me, I think, very soon. So I was feeling very nomadic this week, and you kind of always wonder, well, what jersey am I putting on next? Where am I going? What's happening? It's a tough mindset to get in. A lot of people don't do it. They kind of stay in their home area, or maybe you move once and you stay, but multiple moves is definitely a mindset that will just teach you a lot of things about life. I think it's why he's such a majestic human being, and I aspire to be that majestic through all the moves coming my way. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. Where are you at on a ROLO Check-In?
I'm not quite as nomadic as you, my friend. You really have moved around to a bunch of different places. That's a unique experience.
I've been around this marble.
Yeah. I think I've only been a couple spots here, Boston, and just outside New York, the only three places. And of course, I ended up back in Bridgeport, where I'm thinking I am a pondering Robin Lopez. This is when he was on the Washington Wizards. And I'm just pondering, I'm thinking, I'm reflecting about a lot of things here, Pich. It's episode 10, man. I can't believe it. And every episode, I want to do something better. And we're just trying to do something a little bit better than the last time. And
I'm in 4K now.
Yeah, look at you. You're so clear. I can see every
Thanks to your lovely Christmas gift.
Every hair on your chin and nostril. It's wonderful. That's majestic. That is. My barber always gets on me, trims my nostril hair, my eyebrows. That's the thing that he always gets, the eyebrows.
You got a barber for your face hair?
Yeah, he loves it. He loves to do it. He makes fun of me for my shaggy brows. I think they're distinguished, but that's just me. And just like Rolo, another distinguished gentleman, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited for everything coming with this podcast. I have plans for the Court Cousins studio. I mean, there's just so many good things to think about. Our trip in January. So I'm looking up, I'm looking out to what is to come for our Court Cousins podcast. Something else I'm always looking out for, something else you're always looking out for, Pich, are the words of the people. I mean, we're just men of the people. That's all we really are.
I mean, yeah,
we're down home, we're down earth guys. So we're looking out in our social media roundup for any posts about the Magic in our beloved Magic community. And we have got some gems this month. The first one you found, Pich, on Instagram. You want to talk about it, sir?
Hey, everybody's talking about it. If you're any kind of Magic fan, Franz Wagner, rookie of the month. He put up big numbers in December. We talked about it on our last show. I put it on this sign over here. Cole talked about speaking him into existence as being the rookie of the year, calling him Roy. So that's why I'm trying to sign it into actually happening by putting Cole for most improved player. Let's keep it going. We got a sign that maybe predicting the future. But Franz, I mean, it's almost at a point where as Magic fans, we're almost sick of talking about him. The guy's amazing. He's sweet Franz. He's gotten better since day one in the NBA, but he still deserves these props as the rest of the league and fans get to know him.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to get too much of a good thing. We're used to talking and singing the praises of Franz, and I think I just want to keep doing it because I want him to know how fantastic a job he is doing, how unbelievably fun it's been to just watch his growth. And as this post from Magic Time 0.32, you said they're like a Brazilian outlet of Magic fans out there. Bom dia. He's averaging 19.5 points per game in December, 5.1 rebounds and 3.1 assists. He's filling up the stat sheet. He put this team on his back in December when it was like him and 6 other G Leaguers playing, him and Gary Harris and a bunch of G Leaguers. And they found some ways to get some wins, to impress some people, to dunk on some fools, and even, to get the praises of one Joel Embiid, who we just played last night, who's saying, he thinks Franz is going to be extremely good and just needs to keep going.
Well, I always love to hear from Joel Embiid. His opinion means so much to me. That would be advice you'd give to any rookie player getting in the league, right? Just keep going. I mean, that's not groundbreaking stuff, Joel. Thanks for coming, though.
Okay, touche. But I do hold a grain of salt for that because he's an established player. He's had some ups and downs too, and we just played him. And this is supposed to be one of the most dominant centers in the league. He did certainly dominate us, especially towards the end of the game. But Franz was going right at him. And maybe you'll talk a little bit about it and what I learned.
I did learn about it.
Joel seemed to be a little bit fearful of defending those attacks to the rim from Franz. Our next post. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Pich. It is a happy new year, and Orlando Magic HQ and the gentleman at the Ozone podcast posted the huge forehead of Jeff Weltman pondering in that big old brain of his, what should be Weltman's New Year's resolution? So, Pich, what do you think in that big old brain Weltman should be thinking about?
My first instinct here is to just say, stay the course. I think a lot of in sports in general, no matter what sport it is nowadays, everyone's got a quick trigger. If a GM's not working, if a coach isn't working, they get 1 year, 2 years, they're gone. I say stay the course, man. And I say that because I'm also a Bucks fan, which we've talked a little bit about on this show, but I worked at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee for a while, and that's when I kind of got on the Buck bandwagon. They're another small market team that stayed the course. They stayed with a couple guys in Giannis and Middleton that maybe weren't household names. They weren't all-stars. They built from within, and they found a way to get there, and then they later added the parts. You have to slog through some of those seasons like we're having right now to get to that next level. And I think he should not be quick to get off the course that we're on right now because it's pretty good. If someone comes calling for somebody in a trade, which we'll probably talk about later, listen, but let's not blow the whole thing up just because of the lack of wins here. If that's what rebuilding is, it's building. You don't always need to come in and take parts away. You got to build a foundation first. The rest comes later.
Wow. Nice. Taking some inspiration from the Bucks, who we just played a couple of times. They're a really fantastic team. And I would echo what you said, Pich. I definitely would. I can remember back to those Hennigan days where it feels like we pulled the trigger trying to make a big trade and the GM trying to prove themselves because they weren't sure about their footing in the organization. I don't think we have that issue with this front office. But the one thing that I do want them to add to their slow play as they move forward is just to remember the fans, the people that buy the tickets and the jerseys and all the memorabilia and watch the games, because I do think at times I've felt a little bit put off with the lack of communication from our front office around our organization. It's been a tough few years, few years. And I think the ownership and the management needs to be a little bit more empathetic to that. and just communicate a little bit more about what's going on in the organization, not just around injuries, other things too. I do think they're doing a good job reaching out, trying to, survey and ask the fans. Keep doing that. I think that should be a resolution. You started that last year. Keep doing more of that, more fan engagement, more communication. And I would just greatly appreciate that in 2022. Welt God.
That's a good one. And I got to say, most companies' number one problem, communication. So it happens at all levels of life as you go through. But I would like to see a little bit more of that too. That would be good, because I think right now we have a fan base that's kind of small and we need to grow it. And that's a great way to do that.
So one of the communications that I think as humans, we don't really know that much about, Pich, is communication with the dream world. And our next post is just that. It is from Magic Basketball is Back at KP20 Magic. He had a little communication in the dream world, and he tweeted out, "Had a dream we got a Markelle Fultz questionable." Now, Pich, as someone, a degenerate like myself, who bets every time our Magic play, I love betting player props, and I also bet all types of player props around the league every single day. I look at the injury report every single day. It's often a huge determinant in what players I back or what teams I back, depending on who's in and who's out. So I've been seeing our monstrous injury report every single day. I don't know. Maybe I'm a masochist. Maybe I like pain, that I just see the laundry list of Orlando Magic injured out. And that's what it's been for Markelle and a lot of other guys. And if I woke up, Pich, and I saw a questionable, the day that happens, Pich, I am going to cry. I'm going to get on my knees. I'm going to thank God and any other deity that will listen. I'm going to kiss my cat and kiss my girlfriend. And I might just dance around my house naked. I don't know what I'm going to do, Pich, when I see that questionable next to Markelle Fultz.
Wow. Well, I think you're sleeping on the whole bottom part of this, which kind of makes this thing come together, which is when Dylan Holden replies with, "No, you had a dream, and he is now in health and safety protocols."
I did leave that out.
To me, that's what really made this and got it super funny, because it keeps happening. But one thing I thought about while you were just saying that, one of the things I think that maybe is why you like this, it's not because you like the pain. I think there is something about, you see the team, they're not doing very well, but you see all those guys that are out and you think, all right, we're not at full capacity. If we were at full capacity and this is the state of affairs, we'd probably feel a lot differently. So it's it's what they would call an excuse here in Boston. They always like to have an excuse for, if their teams lose, wow, this guy was out or that guy was out, or he's playing on a broken foot or whatever it is. Like, you have to have an excuse for why the things went wrong. And we have that built-in one. We're missing starters. We're missing starter level players, potential all-stars that could be providing to this team. So I think that may be what's making you feel okay about this.
That's true, Pich. I saw someone else, and I'm sorry I'm not getting your handle, posted the most injury games missed. And we were like 200 games above the second place team. It was like 500 games over the past, person hours or however they figure it out. But
see, and we love that because it means we lead the league in a category, which is fantastic.
But that's a dark joke. I was going even darker and thinking, is in the back of my mind, is there a little fearful Magic fan that's kind of worried that when these guys come back and we're still losing, or what if we're still losing, Pich? What if these guys don't make the impact? Yeah, I'm not gonna. No, bad voice. No, we're not gonna take time for
you
that.
Quit it.
Yeah, tell him to stop, man. He's controlling me with the dark energy there.
Bring the dark side right to the show today.
Yeah. And the last one, we're just gonna touch upon it really quickly, was one from us. We went to the Boston Celtics versus our Orlando Magic game. That was January 2nd there. Had a really good time, hammed it up, had some fun interactions with the people there, and interacted with some fans online during the game too. So that was a lot of fun. Thanks for everyone who watched along with us there.
Yeah, you'll get an opportunity to do it again later this month when we're in Orlando for the games with the Lakers and the Bulls. So I'm looking forward to all this, but it was a fun time. And we're going to talk all about this Celtics game and what I learned, sir.
Yes. Well, let's get into it, Pich.
All
In
right.
this segment, what I learned, we go back through the recent games, and Pich tells us what I learned. His rants and ideas about the things he saw and the statistics that came out of them. So, Pich, what did you learn in this last set of games, sir?
Well, only 6 games in this set, which is good because last show there was way too many. But there's a lot to say about them. The 93-83 loss to Miami. RJ Hampton was back in the lineup, but not starting, which I thought was a little weird at first. He got into it with Hero later in the game, and then he got ejected later because he complained about a call, which was kind of fun. I was kind of noticing that Tyler Hero is not as good as he once was. I feel like they were in the finals in the bubble, and he was going to be like a next level player. And I feel like he's kind of really fallen down the NBA ladder. I don't know if he's not the same
he's having
guy
a hell of
he
a
used to
year.
be, but
No, he's having a really good year. He did not play well in this game, but he
doesn't
has been
start
playing
for
well.
him. He's kind of a bench guy, and
Yep.
I don't know. He seems like he's annoyed more than he was back in that run. Like I don't know what his problem is, but he got into it. He got into it with somebody again last night too. So there's something's up with him. Maybe something at home. He needs a ROLO Check In is what he needs.
Yeah, he does. He does. That's for sure.
Tim Frazier in this game threw one of the worst passes I've ever seen in NBA history. I think it landed in probably about the 7th row or so. He did have some better passes later in the game, to be fair, but this one that was one I'm just never really going to forget. And it's something that he's kind of done a lot on this run where every once in a while he just makes a play or is standing in the wrong spot. And it's like, what are you doing out there? Are you trying to help us win, or what's your goal, sir? I
think that pass really overcharacterized my opinion of Tim Frazier. We might talk about that a little bit later.
That's true. Not necessarily a good representative of what all he can bring to the court. But
true.
In the second quarter of this game, we came out gunning. We went back to that 3-point gunning, no rebounding. I've noticed, in fact, over a course of a lot of the games we're going to talk about, with this one being the exception, Magic are getting the ball inside more and realizing there's points to be scored in there. And I feel like Rolo's the one who reminded them that there's scoring to be done in there, but they forgot about that in the second quarter here. And in the third quarter, there was a nice a bad third quarter, just awful. And then the fourth quarter, nice comeback by the G Leaguers, but it wasn't enough. Butler was too much down the stretch, and the Heat just kind of got this done. And for the first time, I got sick of seeing the Heat. Like, I'm sick of seeing Strus. I'm sick of seeing Vincent. I don't want to see any of these guys. I was glad when Hero got kicked out. I'm sick of seeing him. I think this is one of those deals where, like, when you're a fan, this is a rivalry. Right.
Yeah.
But for someone who lives in the Northeast, I don't run into Heat fans. I don't get into it with people all the time. I don't live in Florida, so I don't see the Florida rivalry going on. But they play a lot. And because this year I'm watching every game, I am now sick of them too. The rivalry has been engaged. Strike the match, light it up with the Heat. I don't like them.
Come at us, Court Cousins, Miami. Where are you?
So then we got into our back-to-back home games with the Bucks. The first one, a 127-110 loss. The Magic were depleted, but this is just full-on Bucks. They had everybody.
Yeah.
Rolo was starting, wearing those sweet shoes that he got from Mascot Stuff, playing really well. Juwan Howard was in the house supporting all the Magic peeps, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
Sweet Franz dropping a career-high 38 points in this game, which was amazing. We talked about something bad Frazier did in the last game, but in this game, he took a huge charge against Giannis, which I'm going to give you a bell ring for the hustle play on that one. Anyone willing to stand in front of him at his height and take that was impressive to me. So got to give the guy credit where it's deserved. It was only a foul call, but still he stood in there and took it. And that's impressive to me. Magic were down 72-45 at halftime because the Bucks just are that good. They score a ton. In the third quarter, we had probably one of our better third quarters, a 19-0 run in there to start to shrink this thing back. It was 97-82 after the third. That's a huge comeback. Dave Portnoy was also in the house. He took multiple attempts at a half court shot, which I can't believe he did, because we all know you're only supposed to get one. Those are the rules, sir. I
was just figuring out who this guy is. I know his grandma was all over the thing, and I figured out he's the Barstool Sports guy. That's his
El
thing.
Presidente. Yeah. He
wow.
The show. He's the guy.
He looks like a young kid. He looks like a child. Is that the right person? He was sitting next to the grandma.
Probably in his 40s.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a different human.
I think you're looking at a different dude.
Okay.
To a whatever smoking girl he's dating right now, I think. And he was wearing a Franz jersey, I believe.
Well,
Sonny Gravett went into the health and safety at halftime of this game, which I gotta mention just because if you take a guy out of the game after halftime, he just was in contact with all the other guys in the game, so they should have had to stop the game. I don't know. I'm so confused by.
It's when they found out about it. They did what they could. Whatever. Let's keep it moving.
All right. So then basically, it wasn't enough to come back there. And then the next game was 136 to 118. The one positive of these two games is at least we're scoring the basketball, getting over 110 points and a couple of losses. But the Bucks, they're going to buck, man. That's what they do. I don't know if you can see this sign behind me right here. There's two street signs I keep up. One says Magic Way, one says Bucks Way. Pretty much should have taken the Magic one down because everything was going the Bucks way in these two games. They had their full squad. They were doing their thing. I'm going to talk about them more later, not because I'm a fan, just because it is coming up. The Bucks. Hopefully, this way we don't have to see them again. We're done. The 4 games with the Bucks are over now, and we can move on with the rest of our season. We're not on that level. Then it was time for the Celtics game. You came up from Bridgeport. We rolled over to TD Garden and saw a 116 to 111 overtime thriller with the Celtics, which I wish I could be more excited about, but we blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and we let Jaylen Brown score 50 points. They were without Jason Tatum, thank God. And Tim Frazier actually played pretty well in this game. He hit the bucket to send us to overtime, but there were some things he did in this game too that I also didn't like. So he seems to be kind of one of those 50-50 players where like he'll make a great play and then he makes one where you're like,
Well, I mean, he's new. He just is learning everything. I know they're trying to keep it simple, but the guy just walked on the court with these other gentlemen.
But for me, it was great to be there. I was going to say to the end of what I learned, but I haven't seen the Orlando Magic play a game since 2009 when I was working in Milwaukee. So this was great to see them out on the court again and be there and support them and be there with you. We got in some good conversations with some Celtics fans who were, I don't think they were giving us.
You could call that a conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of light ribbing, for Boston standards. That's light ribbing. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
I think they were cognizant of, okay, we're not a very good team, so let's not beat up on these guys.
Right.
And then we made it a game. I mean, we had people leaving in the fourth quarter thinking that game was over. They were just like, oh, we gotta beat the traffic. We gotta get out of here. And I don't know. I'm not one for Pyrrhic victories, for moral victories, but that is kind of nice, when the arrogant Boston Celtics fans give up on their team because, oh my God, we're so used to winning, championship town, yada, yada, yada. We're so good, blah, 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 blah. They're giving up on their team. Right. Plenty of game left. And you just walked out on an epic comeback for your team that you will never get back. At least we did that. At least we stole some happy memories from people while we were in Boston. So I do take a moral victory in that. The dark side is strong in you.
Oh, that was fun, man. We encountered some masshole juveniles, and we saw them out in the wild, just with their other white brethren, hockey attire on, various basketball gear attire on, and we had some ribbing, as you said. I think us standing up to them and showing them a face of another fan kind of contained them a little bit, and they understand what humanity is, because in Massachusetts, that's kind of a foreign concept. They don't really understand, other human beings and living in community with others. So, it was, but no, all joking aside, I think we gained some friends in the end. It was a fun group of guys joking back and forth all night.
Yeah, I'm sure for a lot of these Boston fans, it was a lot like going to the zoo and seeing like that rare snow leopard or something. And you're like, whoa, look at this. An Orlando Magic fan. Holy crap. What are you doing here? Like, are you here from Florida? A lot of people thought we were from Florida. It's just like, I don't think people from Florida are coming up to Boston in January
for this team right now, for this team for the G League game. It was like,
but anyway, it was great. It was great to be there, and it's too bad that we couldn't get the W. I was really hoping that we could get that, but we got a couple more games coming up, so I'm measured. I was just like happy to be there, and it was nice to be there, and rooting not rooting against Boston per se, but just rooting for my team for once. Usually if I go, I just kind of like, I'm on the fence. I don't really care, but it was great. So I had a lot of fun with that. Let's get to the last two games on the docket, because next we had a 102-98 loss to the Bulls. Adam Levine leads the Maroon 5, but Zach Levine leads the Red 5 of the full Bulls, because they had their full squad in this game. I still think they're pretty overrated, and I think they're beatable.
Okay, nice.
Billy Donovan can still suck it. I forget that he's their coach sometimes. I know he left us hanging, and I've just not gotten over it.
Screw that guy.
DeMar DeRozan's also on that list of guys I just don't really have any time for, but he's playing very well. I was harassing him during the game when he was shooting free throws, and it worked. He shot a very bad game from the free throw line, so bad so that he stayed after the game to shoot extra free throws while the team around him was taking it down to get ready for the Blackhawks game. Gotta say, I like that he's doing that. That was pretty smart on his point, because his missed free throws down the stretch made this game closer than it should have been. But we played pretty well with a full Bulls squad without having Cole still back in there. I like what I'm seeing from a lot of this like mismatched team. We're starting to score more, and even though we don't have our full complement of dudes, we're at least making these games with some tough teams. And even though the Bucks kind of blew us out, there are stretches where we're going on a 19-0 run where we're kind of like making them work a little bit. So it's like, at least it's not a complete blowout. Then
more moral victories from you. I don't know why you don't like DeMar. I like the story that he and Vooch, went to USC together. They're now reunited, and the team seems like they're having a lot of fun. I find that they're very rootable. It's easy to root for them because they seem like they're having a good time. DeMar really actually does feel comfortable, and I love how they're kind of uplifting each other, and that leadership that he shows staying after. I don't know if any of our guys, I see some of that leadership coming through in our guys, and I'm really excited for that.
Fair enough. One could say you look at the Bulls lineup and you like to think that maybe that's where we are in a year or two with another piece added and some of the guys growing up because nobody had Zach LaVine as anybody that we were going to worry about. But he kind of changed from a dunker to a guy who can slash and score and do some other things. So
and
I don't
shoot
know.
That rock, man. He's shooting crazy well.
I don't feel like he shot that well against us, but that's another story. Well, last game was 116-106, a loss against the Sixers. Cole was back. It was good to see him back out there. Drummond was playing bully ball when he finally got into the game, just backing guys in and using his size, which was smart to do. I think we had a record for fouls in this game, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later. Cole got sack tapped in this one, which was a really weird foul call.
Dirty blow.
That's the kind of things you do with your buddies. I don't know how you're doing that on the game. Joel Embiid was tough on offense. He was kind of dominating and having his way, but he was very light on defense. As you mentioned earlier, he was kind of like staying out of the way. I think he knows Franz is a young player. They're taking a lot of pictures of him for posters, and he's like, I don't want to be on these. I'm just going to lay back. I was a little unimpressed because I thought he was a little bit more of a defensive presence than he showed in this game, but that's their problem, not ours.
That's fair.
I did like what I see from Tobias Harris, and I've always loved his game. He's a player that I've always liked. He's played for obviously the Magic and the Bucks, so I kind of always liked him. There was an injury scare to Cole and Franz in this one with some turn business that all had us all going, oh no, what's happening? You hate to see those guys leave, but it was nice to kind of see them like jog back or walk back on their own power. They didn't need a wheelchair, Wendell. The Sixers kind of just, had just enough better than us to pull away late in this game. I don't think they're among the top three teams in this conference, but they're a playoff team for sure, and we're not. So they had just enough to get past in the end. But some of my overall takes away, like I said, with the scoring inside, which was fantastic. I love that we're getting a little bit healthier and everyone's coming back. And I like that we're scoring points. I don't like it when we lose games and we have like 84 points or we can't hit the hundreds. If we lose a game and we're still hitting the hundreds, it shows we're putting the ball through the hole. It's good to see that happening. And it's hard to be optimistic sometimes, but really when you take a look at the numbers and you look at what you're seeing and who we're playing against, I'm optimistic that we've got some more wins coming in the back half of this season. And that's what I learned this year.
Introducing Court Cousins NFT. Do you have no freaking idea what an NFT is? Neither do we. Collect these unique pictures we're calling tokens. Cole Anthony loves them. Check out all the cool poses mined in the super secret blockchain. Get rich like Harry Harris did last year. So many amazing accessories to collect. Don't get left out. The future is now. Court Cousins NFT.
Well, now that I am a fungible token, a non-fungible token, a NIFT, I don't know what the hell it is, man.
I would love to be a fungible token. It sounds like a token with fungus on it. That's what I think of.
Fungus among us, baby. We're now going into our next game, our next segment, starter, backup, and bench. And this is where Pich and I decide between three options after being given a certain topic or statement. So the first statement is injured player whose return will have the biggest impact. Who is your starter, backup, and bench? Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, Pich.
This is I mean, you could legit make this argument probably in all of these directions with all these men in all these positions, and I would listen to it and be like, all right. And that's, I mean, Suggs is the only one I've actually seen play this season. So, and it's hard for me to really comment too much on the other guys. I feel like we have a lot of good guard play. So I feel like Markelle will obviously be great to have back. I'd love to have him back, but yeah. I'm going to go with JI here because he brings something inside that I think we're lacking, which is a defensive presence in the paint. And if he can play like I've seen in highlights of him playing in the past, I want that on the inside because we haven't really had that except for when Rolo's on a mission or Wendell's playing against the Bulls. We just don't, every once in a while Bamba gets a block party going, but overall his defense is not the best. He's just, long and lanky and he blocks the shot. So for me, I would go with JI as the starter because I also think he's got like a veteran presence that would be good for this team. I think our team's very young and sometimes they get a little off the rails. And that's why I love Rolo in there because he's a veteran leadership that kind of slows everybody down. And I think that JI might be able to do that. So I would put him as my starter. As the backup, I'm going with Suggs because I've seen Suggs and I've seen what he can do, and I'm putting Markelle on the bench. I feel like I don't know if Markelle's going to be able to come back from all these injuries and play at the same level, but I know Suggs is going to be able to play at the next level. So purely from I know it's not a coin flip. I know Suggs is going to be able to come back and be a solid contributor as my backup. And so Markelle to the bench. No insult meant.
No, insult taken, Pich. I was going to agree with you in the starter for JI, but now I'm not after that Markelle slander. All right. Now I'm going to make the argument for Kel. I'm going to say the biggest impact is going to be Kel. So I'm going to make him my starter because he just had that savvy, and maybe you're right. Maybe it is a skill that is being duplicated a little bit with Franz now and with Cole, certainly. Getting into that paint, having another driver, another playmaker, and everyone can't do it like Kel. I mean, Franz has shown some ability to work off of the dribble and find open players, drive, bring on double teams, and move the ball. But not like Markelle Fultz, man. I know you haven't watched a lot of Markelle. He was kind of he came on towards the tail end of that team that you really didn't have much like for. But I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much he slows down the game, not only for himself, but for others, and makes space and increases people's open shots and things like that. He's going to be the driver. You're right. I'm interested to see how he plays with Cole. That's the big question mark. And maybe that's why I'm going to, make my backup JI, because there is less copy of his skill set. You made great points. I don't need to repeat him all about down low. He's essentially like Bamba and Rolo in one. Like he'll get rebounds, but he'll also block shots. And we really need that. We haven't been a strong rebounding team at all. And I'm hoping that when he comes back, he can bring some more of that presence in the paint, because we need to get that rock and then get our offense moving. And I'll put Suggs last. I mean, he's a great defender, but we still don't know what his offense is going to develop into. And as a guard in this league, I think you do have to score. I think, my ceiling for him, hopefully, is like a Jrue Holiday, an amazing defender and a guy that can score. But Jrue didn't always have that. He kind of came in as a defender and grew into the scorer and facilitator.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest, and this is one of the hardest points of starter backup bench in the first place. Look, if Kel comes back, I hope he's everything that you just said. I'm not
Right.
here rooting against the guy. I'm
Yeah.
just saying I'm talking about the biggest impact, because that was the
Mhm.
question. Who have the biggest impact? And we have a lot of good guard play, but we don't have a lot of good inside play all the time consistently. And if JI can do that, that's what I want to see. But I your point is valid. I hope that's correct.
The next, we were just talking about the offense, and you were talking about how we're scoring more points, which is you like to see, and we have been, but we're still, at least when I made this query, we were ranked 28th in the league. So 2 off from dead last. Not great. So my statement now, or the next statement, is the part of our offense that's contributing most to our bottom of the league status. Is it our turnovers, our assist numbers, or our rebounding? Which of those is contributing most to the bottom of the league offense? The biggest problem, essentially.
Well, man, I could go either way on this one. I'm a big fan of rebounding, so I feel like you're trying to serve this up to me like he's going to say rebounding. He loves rebounding. I'm actually going to go with assists as my starter here.
Interesting. Okay.
I want to see us move the ball around a little bit more, and I did see it in this last run of games, which I was very optimistic about. And I'm only taking assists over rebounding because if you make a good assist, that guy hits the first shot, and you don't need to rebound it. Otherwise, I would definitely say rebounding, because
that's good logic.
We could score a lot more buckets by simply following our shot or following a teammate's shot instead of just leaving and going back. Yeah, what a concept. But I want us to move the ball a little bit more and have less of that. Well, okay, Terrence Ross has the ball right now. He's kind of feeling it, and he's just going to pull it over 2 guys. Like, move the ball, find a person that's open, and get this assist up a little bit. I think now that Cole's back, that's going to help with some of that kind of stuff. And if Kel was back, obviously, I think that would help with that as well. I'm putting turnovers on the bench here, not to minimize turnovers, because I've talked about those on this show as a problem. But there are some games where we have like only 10 or 11 turnovers, and we still get blown out. So I don't think it's
true.
I don't think it's the determining factor. It's a problem, but it's not making or breaking the team. So it's easily on the bench here. What say you?
Okay, well, I'm going to flip it around, actually. You said turnovers on the bench. That's going to be my starter. And let me make my argument for turnovers, sir. You're right. We're 22nd in the league in turnovers, so we're not quite as bad at the bottom of the barrel as we are in some of our other statistics, like assists, for example. But I'm a little off put by the amount of increase, even from last year, in our turnovers. They're up 16%. And last year's team wasn't a good team. So if we're turning over the rock more than that squad from last year and providing more, fast break opportunities for our opponents, it's just not going to end well. And we might be scoring tons of points, but if we're giving up a ton on the other side, then the end is not going to be in our favor as well. So that's going to be my starter. We're averaging pretty much 15 turnovers a game, 16% again, up from last year. Need to get that down, gentlemen. Then next, I am going to go with rebounding. That's going to be my backup. Just frustration over probably betting on the over for Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba and not coming through. Just feeling like a big man should be able to pull down 9.5 rebounds, and he doesn't, or one of those gentlemen doesn't. And that's frustrating because our offense starts on that defensive rebound. It starts from there, and that's how we generate our offense. If we want to move with space and pace and the pass, well, we got to take it off the rim first. And so I guess
our offense usually starts by inbounding the ball after the other team makes it, but
got to do that fast too, with space, pace, and the pass. And then so last I'll have assists. Now the next topic is pretty heavily debated and has been really since summer. Magic fans have been talking about this. Who are you trading? All right. This has been the sweepstakes that every Magic fan on the Twitterverse, on the online interwebs, has been talking about for a while. and justifiably so. I don't blame other Magic fans for forward thinking when we're in a season where we've only won seven games. So who are you trading? Starter, backup, or bench? Gary Harris, Terrence Ross, Mo Bamba. Starter being the person you're most likely to trade.
Ooh, man, am I glad earlier that I said what I said about starter, backup, bench, because it's tough. Because if these guys have grown on me a little bit more as the season has progressed. I'm not saying I necessarily want to see any of them go. For the sake of starter, backup, bench, though, I'm really sure Terrence Ross is out of here, so I'm putting him as my starter. I think I'd like to see him stay and kind of keep working with some of the young guys, but I just feel like they're going to try to move him somewhere so he can contribute to a team that's going to get a playoff run or something like that. I can see it kind of matriculating. He does have 1 year left on the contract. There's a chance they just keep him and let it run out, but I'm going to go with the starter for him to be the first one out, and then probably go with Gary Harris next. I like what Gary is bringing lately. But I just feel like his contract is really high. But again, I don't really like moving either one of these guys unless they're going to try to use that free money to bring in a free agent. If they're going to just trade guys away and get draft picks and stay young, like we need to get some veterans in there, use that money to bring in another veteran that might work with our squad. So I would go Terrence Ross, Gary Harris, and then Mo Bamba last, because I'm pretty sure there's not going to be a huge market for Mo Bamba this season right now, because teams know they might be able to just get him at the end of the season without having to bicker or give up anything.
Okay, I think that's a fair order to prognosticate.
I like to be fair.
Yeah, this is tough. This is tough because I don't know. I'm going to try to back my way out of this question in just a minute, but I suppose if I had to trade somebody, it would be the Human Torch. He has a year and a half on his contract, and you could probably get the most value for, the type of player he is. He's a great player. He shoots very well. He can come off the bench and get you back into a game. And sometimes that's what you need. And again, with that other extra year, I think that is probably what you can get back the best package for, because a team knows that they're going to have him for a year and a half. The second person I would say is Mo Bamba. I think the next person would be Mo. I think that I would put Gary on the bench because I think every team needs good perimeter defense. You can have, even with a Rudy Gobert in the center, the Utah Jazz continue to come up short because they're kind of lacking that perimeter defense. That's important to a team, especially if you want to move forward. He has he's extremely gifted. He's worked very hard on his defense, and it shows. He's really smart with how he positions himself. And I would love for him to stick around and share some of that with Suggs and be a 1-2 punch on the perimeter with some of our other guards, with Markelle, with Cole. Like, mixing those four guards together gets me really excited. Now, the caveat with all of this that I said I was going to put on the end is all the contract stuff. Now, Gary Harris is currently making the most of any of those players. I think he's like right around 20 million. Yeah, just over $20 million from Denver paying him. No way in hell do I want to pay Gary Harris $20 million. So it all kind of depends on what he's willing to take. If he's willing to settle in, I mean, guys right behind him, like Zach LaVine is behind him. He's making less than him right now. Something with Zach LaVine's contract that was wonky, which is why he couldn't get extended. But that's got other guys like who's just in front of him, Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, Tim Hardaway Jr. isn't much better than Gary Harris. Buddy Hield has been shooting really well, but is he that much better of a player than Gary Harris when you consider defense? I don't think so. A guy like Joe Harris, Evan Fournier is making $17 million, for God's sakes. Like, we don't want to get into that territory, but is he willing to take more of a Terrence Ross like contract for somewhere in the range of like 12 to 15 million? And I don't think it's the worst thing to sign these guys to a contract that's fair for them. And if, 2 years down the road, they decide they want to go, like, do a sign and trade. Like, Gary Harris at $15 million a year is a very tradable contract. And if he decides he wants to go somewhere, there will be tons of teams that will probably listen to Gary Harris at $15 million. If it's Gary Harris again at 21, no, thank you. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of teams. The market will decide a lot of these things, like you said with Mo. I think it wouldn't be the worst thing but as I said, to sign all of these guys if the numbers are reasonable and they're a party to it. Because if at some point down the road someone wants to leave, it can happen.
Right. This was a hypothetical starter backup bench. So we do what we had to do. But ultimately, if we could find a way to make them all fit, keep them all.
Let's go. Yeah. They all bring something unique and different.
Ideally, it's a business. And at the end of the day, somebody's probably going to move. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. For what? For what do you think? Like just more future assets, another draft pick, another uncertain thing?
I think I think that's what they're going to get up front. I don't think they're going to trade a veteran for a veteran or a contract for a contract. I would imagine we would trade for a pick or something like that. And then maybe look to trade up. Yeah. If there's somebody that we really like, because I think they're probably scouting the top 5 overall guys. And if for some reason we end up getting wedged out of the top 3 or something, and there's somebody we really like, we can put a couple first round picks together to maybe bump up or something like that. So I would imagine that's probably what their thought process is, and then go to the free agent market for a veteran later.
Because the thing with the NBA contracts is you do have to match the salaries. So we'd have to take somebody or some combination of something back. Hopefully it would be like an expiring veteran and then a pick or something. But, are any of these guys really going to garner a sexy pick? I don't know. No. It's got to be a team that's contending, that has been kind of smart with their draft capital. I don't know exactly who those teams are. Like, doesn't Milwaukee need another defender? What have they been doing with their picks? The Bulls probably just traded everything away in the East. The Nets don't have anything. The Lakers are mortgaged. Suns, like these types of teams, I don't know who has capital to want to go out and get a veteran, but we'll see. We'll see.
Indeed.
This is yours. Why don't you introduce the next one?
All right. Well, we just talked a lot about veterans, so let's go ahead and talk about non-veterans of a sort. Let's go with for this one. We're changing starter backup bench to backup bench in G League. I've selected the four names of the guys that were playing a lot lately. Who of the 10-day / G Leaguers would you most like to keep on this squad? So I've got Gravett, Frazier, Schofield, and Gillespie up here. Those are the guys that have been seeing the majority of the minutes from that take. So what say you for backup bench in G League?
Okay. My starter, I'm not going to change it from, we had a little debate between two previous to this, is going to still be Hassani Gravett. I like what he does with the game pace. I doesn't score a lot of points, but does it efficiently and doesn't have a lot of turnovers. And that's what I want in a point guard. He also still has some razzle dazzle to him and some confidence that I think would really grow if he were given a two-way contract in the future or a permanent. He knew his spot wasn't, in jeopardy all the time, that he could, really grow into that. I think it'd be a very good player. We have our point guards. Hopefully we've got, Kel and Cole and Jalen who can do some ball handling. We just talked about Gary Harris. There's a bunch of guards, but Gary Harris isn't a ball handler. So I think it'd be nice to have that insurance, especially this year or, next couple of years with Kel coming off the injury, probably not going to play a bunch of minutes to start. So to have that guy when Cole or Kel need a windbreak, that's a guy that you could throw in there and get some really good minutes from. And I just love Gravett. And it's not just because we're both card holding members of the Ginger Association. Okay. He's a great player. Next, I'm going to do, honestly, it's a toss up between Schofield and Gillespie. I didn't look at any statistics prior to this bit here on either of those gentlemen, so I don't have anything to quote, but just from the eye test, I mean, it kind of brings something similar, right? I mean, they're bringing that tenacity, that energy, some more of that rebuilding or the rebounding that we were talking about. I guess I would go with Gillespie. He seems like more of a down low presence, and I think that's where we could use a little bit more grit, even if it's just on the practice the practice court. And, Gillespie, sick. Dizzy Gillespie. I love Jazz. Like, let's have Gillespie on the roster. And then we'll send Schofield and Frazier back down to the G League. Oh, I guess Frazier wasn't on our G League. We'll send Schofield back down to the G League. And we'll see him in February when we're sitting courtside at the Westchester Knicks first Lakeland Magic game in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
And then Tim Frazier can just go back to
Tim Frazier will come and punch me in the
beforehand.
face. Yeah.
All right. Well, for this one, I can't really disagree with you on Gravitz. I'm not going to repeat all that. Obviously, I like what he brings, so I'm going to put him as my backup. My bench, I'm going with Admiral Schofield here for the exact opposite reason that you're picking Mr. Gillespie, because I like Admiral as a first name, and I think it's better. I also really enjoy his hustle when he's out there. I've often said when I watch him play on defense, it's almost like he knows, hey, I'm getting 10 minutes today, and I have 6 fouls, and I'm here to give them. But I like the effort. Probably Gillespie is a little more polished on the inside as a defender, which is maybe better, but I'm going with Admiral for that. And then, we'll have Gillespie go back to the G League. We'll see him later for sure. And then, Tim Frazier, go back to doing whatever you were doing before. Hopefully it pays you. I know it probably doesn't pay you as well as you got paid for your 2 10-day contracts, because we did that math and I was mad about it. It would take me 5 years at my current job to make what he just made in 20 days. So don't feel bad for Tim Frazier.
Yeah, all these guys are doing all right. When you get called up to the NBA, it's a nice little bit for these 10-day contracts. Even the guys that are just coming into the league, like I think even Gravit we were looking at, it's like $50K, 10-day contract. Like that's my year salary. Shit. Okay. I should have gone into the NBA. Dang. Why'd I go into teaching? Pick the wrong career. Should have been in the NBA. Last one.
Teachers always complaining about not getting paid too much. Here we go.
I get paid fairly. I feel I get a fair salary. I enjoy the work I do. Doesn't feel like you're working when you love what you do, Pish. Mm-hmm. Throw that cliche in there for you. All right. So we just, in our last stretch of games, played some pretty formidable opponents. Some of the best teams in the East. We've actually recently played all 3 of the best teams in the East. Currently, as it stands, the Bulls are sitting atop the Eastern Conference at a record of 25-10. The Nets are behind them at 24-12, and the Bucks are in third place at 25-15. That's the record. But who do you have as your starter, backup, and bench for top team in the East, Pish?
Top team in the East is definitely the Bucks for me. They're so deep. Their bench is so deep. I feel like their bench unit would start for us. I feel like they're complete. They have the pedigree. They have enough guys in there, and like Cousins and DiVincenzo and Grayson Allen that weren't a part of the championship team last year, that they're still kind of hungry. And you can still see that Giannis is hungry too. And that's dangerous for everybody. Before the season started, I really wanted to pick the Nets, who I'm going with as my backup. But they haven't all really played together yet this season. And Kyrie's coming back now, and they're like 12-3 all time when they all 3 play. So that's a very good record. And if they can really legit all play and make it to the end of the run, man, the series between them and the Bucks would be a lot of fun to watch. Could go 7 games, and the Nets might have enough to get it past them. But I feel like there's going to be more injuries that'll keep the Nets down. And then I've got the Bulls as my bench because I feel like they're really a pretender. I feel like they may not even be in that 3rd spot by season's end. I think they're on a good run right now. They're on a bit of a heater, but regular season and playoffs are a little bit different. I still think they could finish 3rd or 4th for sure, which is still nice and good, but it's definitely Bucks, Nets, Bulls for me. What about you?
This is tough, man. These are all 3 really competitive, very, very good teams. We've been lucky to see some of them, although the Nets was pretty much a devastated team when we played against them. And I think for, that being the reason that they are kind of a devastated team, I'm going to put them on my bench just because there's too many question marks. I think, what do we just have Kyrie's first game, or is it was in the last couple of days, or it's supposed to be in the next couple of days? I know it's right now. So something like that. Kyrie's going to start playing away games. Okay. But then are you hoping that you actually don't get a higher seed? So you have to play more away games in the playoffs. You get 4 away games instead of home. That is some reverse psychology right there. And if you don't have them for 3 games, what is that? There's just too much uncertainty. So they're on my bench. between backup and starter now for the Bucks and the Bulls, that's tough. But just to be a contrarian and disagree with you, sir, I will put the Bulls as my starter for best team in the East. Yes, you heard it here first, folks. I mean, the biggest difficulty is defending Giannis. So who can really defend Giannis on the Bulls? Patrick Williams is their power forward. They're really high on him. He can help. I don't know who else you get to do it. It's going to be Lonzo and DeMar DeRozan guarding him. Like, that doesn't sound good. Yeah.
Did you just make a point to not prove your theory? What the hell?
I don't know. I don't love it, dude. I think Patrick Williams would do a good enough job. I'm trying to be contrarian here. I just like the team. I've really been enjoying watching them. I've watched probably more Bulls games than any other team this year because Vooch is there. So I like to catch a little bit of Vooch still and support him. And I mean, he's the fourth fiddle. And what were we always saying about Magic? Vooch is like a good guy to be your third or fourth option if you're trying to go to a championship. And now that's what he is. And I really do believe Caruso is also a really good perimeter defender too. I think they have the firepower on the other side to potentially go head to head with the Bucks. I mean, to put up enough points to withstand what you're going to have to withstand in a Giannis coming full steam ahead through a playoff run. And of course, Chris Middleton is no stranger to putting up points. So if you're going to beat the Bucks, you're going to have to run up the score a little bit. And the Bulls can certainly do that.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I would take the Bucks over the Bulls all day. And you know me, I'm not a betting man, but if it happens, we can bet, sir.
Okay. All right. Hey, if I can cajole you into some action, let's go. I'm hoping for that series. That would be good.
I only bet on sure things, my friend.
Well, talking about betting on sure things, Pich, let's go into our Court Cousins Championship. And we just finished up our month of wagers. We do 4 wagers every episode, every 2 weeks, for a total of 8 wagers every month to crown a Court Cousins champion. Looking at the graphic, let's see how last week went. I was leading 2-1 going into this last set of games. We bet on Gary Harris. Pich took the over on 14.6 points. He's averaging 17. We took the average number of G Leaguers. Pich won that with under 4 per game. We set it at 4.5. The over-under on our 3-pointers was 32.4. Pich won by taking the over. We were averaging 33% from 3-pointers. And the last one, unfortunately, this WCJ versus Cole, we did not get. And so that was a wash for an overall score of Pich 4, Kyle 2. So we crowned a new Court Cousins champion.
Finally, the championship has come back to the shoulder of the Pich. And if you don't think it belongs here, it doesn't matter what you think. Because now this means that I get to carry this beauty all the way to the Sunshine State. Because from the 18th to the 25th, the Pich is coming to Florida. Kyle is coming down later. The Court Cousins are taking over Central Florida. 2 games. The Lakers and the Bulls. And me in this title. We're bringing it there. Can you smell it, Florida? Can you smell it, Magic fans? Do you smell what the Pich?
Finally here. We did it. Tell that wizard behind you to suck it.
Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
I see him back there.
Yeah, he's watching.
Sometimes
congratulations, sir.
You got to wear shades. Thank you. It was a good run. I am disappointed we didn't get the WCJ versus Cole battle. We had it really in that last game. We'd already agreed to just cancel that category. To be fair, Cole did win that one game they played, but it still wouldn't have been enough. So
wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, you had a strong performance, and I'm kind of glad that you did, because every side that you took was more of a positive thing for the Magic, shooting better, Gary Harris getting more points.
True.
So I was,
I did have the good
good.
end of things. And then now
Right.
I'm the one that has to find a way to pack this to get to Florida. So you don't have to weigh down your back.
Exactly. You pay those charges, baby. See, it's a long play. I'm playing chess. Everyone else is playing checkers, Pish. And that's why I'm coming back for my belt. We got a fresh slate for this episode. Next 2 weeks, we've got we got 6 games. We got Detroit, Washington, Charlotte, Dallas, and Portland. 6 games. And we've got 4 wagers here, each to go back and forth to see who will win that Court Cousins championship belt this next month. Pish, you want to get it started?
I will get us started. You just mentioned the teams that we're playing there. And we've done this one before, but it's been a while, and I'm feeling a little certain sort of way here.
Okay.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from our team, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from the old schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and set the wins mark at 1.5. What say you? Are the Magic good for at least 2 wins in this run or less?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough, dude. That is tough. 2 wins is a lot when we have 7 on the season. I think that we get 1 here against Detroit or Washington. Dallas, Luka just came back. I think Porzingis is out again. Portland's kind of a mess right now. I haven't been following them too much. I know CJ McCollum's been sidelined, but they have Damian Lillard. So that's tough. Washington, we could steal one there, or we could steal one against Detroit. I mean, our best shot is to get one against Detroit. They're just coming back together like many teams are. Cade Cunningham is playing very well. Sadiq Bey is playing very well. Amadou Diallo is playing pretty well. But I think we can beat that squad. So I think we get 1 win. So I'm going to take the under on wins. I'm going to be a bad Magic fan. I'm going to be a pessimistic Magic fan and say we get 1 in the next 6, not 2.
All right. Well, I'm loving where I'm at, because the last time on this show at the end where I said I see 2 wins coming, we got them.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's 2 wins here, which is why I'm loving my spot.
Okay. I knew it was your fault that the virus had an outbreak. That was all you. I knew it from your basement. All right. So Perbs. We're going to go to Perbs. Points, rebounds, and blocks for Mo Bamba. He just came back. He had a monster game last game, putting up, I think, his best performance of the year, perhaps. 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, the old Perb. So his last 6, he's averaging 9.2 points, 6.8 points, 1.7 blocks for a grand total of 17.7. So I'm just going to set the line right there. Do you see Mo Bamba ascending, kind of just staying where he's at, or maybe descending a little bit from that line?
Man, I got to tell you, there's a lot of things that frustrate me about Mo Bamba's game. And sometimes I feel like he's a coin flip, whether he's going to come to play or not. This is difficult, because you don't really know from day to day what he's going to do. He has been shooting the ball much better lately. Like, at least it looks good coming off his hand, and he looks like he has a little more confidence doing it, which is fantastic. I love that.
And no help of yours. You chastising him to stop taking them.
I get sick of watching him standing out there shooting threes and wasting their size. It's one of those things where if it goes in, you're like, okay with it. But if it doesn't, you're like, why are you even shooting those? But there's a reason for that. If his Perbs, if you will, is sitting at 17.7, man, I'm taking the under here. I've bet too much. When we do these championships, I've bet on Mo one time too many, where I have to change my Mo sign upside down and make it look like a no or an owl. And you know what? I'm done.
You're done.
I'm off. Like, I hope he continues to do well. I really do. But I cannot comfortable taking the over and rooting for him in games where he puts up 8 rebounds, puts in a couple of putbacks for 6 points. It's just not going to be enough. I say overall, I'm going under.
Sorry, Mo. I know. I'm sorry, Mo, too, but I was kind of hoping that you take the over, because I wanted to be on the underside. I mean, he just had one of his best games of his season, and that's getting calculated here into those averages as well. So how many how many times within a 6-game set is he going to put up 20 and 10 essentially? I don't know. It would be awesome if that was a regular occurrence. Even if he was doing, he's capable of it. He's capable of it. And, I will say, I love the post-game interviews from the Philadelphia game. He was interviewed, as was Cole. In COVID times, it sucks because you only get 2 players after the game that get interviewed. Normally you could hear from any player you want, but that's how it is. So we haven't heard from Mo a lot. And I really liked what I heard from him talking about how this regime, this coaching staff, has given him what he wanted. He wanted more defensive freedom. I think he wanted to, really try to spread his wings, if you will, as a defender. And he was accountable to not meeting his expectation and not meeting the expectation of the staff. So I love that when I hear from young guys. I had a hard time taking accountability when I was 21. And so for him to be doing that, I really like where that's going. And I think if he continues, hey, maybe my over will be looking sweet in not too long of time. We are playing some crappy teams, Pich. Charlotte does not have a center really. PJ Washington, come on, let's go. All right. So next one for you, Pich. What do you got for me?
All right. Well, I always like to try to come up with some creative ways to get a bet in here so we're not doing the same things all the time. And I've come up with a fun one because we always talk about some of these quarters, how they go for the Magic. Usually if they have a decent third quarter, they're in the game. And if they come out and just completely stink, the game's over. But there always seems to be at least one quarter per game where we just kind of throw up a goose egg and stink. And I think this one's going to be a fun way of breaking that down. So here's what I'm saying. We're going to have, I want you to select first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or fourth quarter. We're each going to have 2 quarters, and however many points the Magic accrue in the quarters that we have, they will be the winner at the end. Make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. You're taking responsibility for adding all these up. I just want to be sure.
I will definitely do it. I love doing these at the end of every game. One of my favorite things to do is to grab the sheet, look at our bets, and go to the score sheet, the box score, figure out all the numbers, and see where we're at game to game. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm looking forward to doing all this math. Let's go.
I just had like an image of you in like Magic PJs, like giddily, like running to the sheet, like, yes, I can fill in the sheet now. The game is over. Yee! Is that accurate? Or
I mean, I don't have a win to celebrate at the end of a lot of games, so I got to take what I can get. And I like sitting down with the stats and then taking a look because I mostly watch the game with the eye test. I don't look at a lot of stats in game. I look at the stats after the game because I like to really be in it. But what do you say? Select a quarter.
Okay. So first I'm going to take the first. I don't know. I made a point of not looking up, trying to figure out the spreads, but I know that our starters have been playing well. So I'm going to take the first.
I'm going to tell you right now, I praise this pick from you because we always come out playing pretty well. And we always give us a little bit of hope that we're going to play well. I think that is probably one of the best quarters to select. I'd have to say the second quarter to select. I'm going to go with the fourth quarter. Yeah. Because I always feel like we've got a comeback in us or something kind of funky happening. And even sometimes the backups get in and they get score happy. I'm going with the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's the next one I would have picked. So now it's between the second and the third. We've been like historically bad in the third, right? I mean, that's like where we tend to lose games sometimes, but sometimes we dig ourselves out of holes at the end of the third and we can kind of put a little bit of a scoring punch on. I'm going to do something counterintuitive. I'm going to go with the third. I'm thinking that's going to be a point of emphasis and we're going to start playing better out of those half times. And I think maybe Jamal Mosley, hopefully Coach Mosley, a little bit shorter of a leash on some of the G League guys. They get a little bit less minutes. And, some of our guys that are coming back get to get more time. Maybe Markelle comes back during this set of games. So that can mix up the team that's playing at the beginning of the third quarter. We'll see. I'm going to take third.
Fair enough. I like your picks. I think if I had to pick just 2 without having to have a draft, I think I would have gone with the first and the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But I think I was leaning towards third quarter. So that's a good pick for you. So you have the odd ones, first and third, and I have the second and the fourth. We'll see how it all pans out. What do you got next?
So one of the things that I've really been excited about is Franz Wagner's ability to get to the cup and to draw fouls. And the eye test was saying it looks like we're getting to the line a little bit more, and the numbers back that up. Our past 6 games, we've had 25.2 free throw attempts compared to our season average of 21.3. I like this trend. I'm hoping it continues to go in the right direction. So over under, Pich, do you think this trend continues? 25 free throw attempts per game. That means going to the line, I guess, 12 or 13 times.
Yeah, I mean, when you break it down like that, it definitely seems like something that's possible. This is largely because, like I said earlier, we're finding a way to get the ball inside now. We're not just settling for those outside shots. The more you go inside, the more you get fouled. It's just science. And now that we have like Franz, who's starting to get some star calls, and now Cole is back, and he's going to get a few calls here and there as well. 25 free throws sounds like a lot, but like you said, it's only 12 or 13, but it's actual free throws, not just fouls.
Right. And Terrence Ross loves to get fouled from beyond the 3-point arc.
He sure does. But, I'm going to take the under here. I think they got a little crazy with the foul calls. I think it was a lot more than usual lately. And I think the league is going to trend back to try to like keep that down. So I don't know. Pretty tough. Could be exactly 25. But if I have to go one way or the other, I'll take the under here. But it could go either way. No. We'll see. I'd like to see them shoot more free throws. But also, we're not that great a free throw shooting team. So it's not really that beneficial to us. Like Wendell missed a lot, or even Franz in the game we were at in the Garden. He's missed some key free throws. So, I mean, I don't know if that necessarily helps us or not, but that's not part of the bet. So I'm just
don't get ahead of ourselves. That's for next episode's Court Cousins. Our next Court Cousins championship, we'll do free throw attempts made. We'll do free throws made. How about that? So that rounds out our 4 wagers. We'll track them for the next 2 weeks and let you know how we did on episode 11 of Court Cousins. That's all I have here. But Pich, I know you have some announcements for the good people.
We do have some announcements. We are still running our Magic the Card Gathering contest. A $25 NBA store gift card is on the line. We've already had some submissions. Next week, we'll have the winning submission on the show, and I'll be in Florida already awaiting you, who will still be stuck in cold, snowy Bridgeport. So that'll be a fun portion of the show. We've also got some other contests that we're going to be announcing soon, so stay with us. Please follow us, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I know you hear it from every channel you're on, but it really does help us out. At some point, we can start to expand
algorithm overlord.
If we have some support, we got a Facebook group. We're everywhere. Just check courtcousins.com and you can check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking to expand things and continue going forward, but we need some help and some feedback from you guys. And we're going to give back with contests and great content. So we're looking to have a great 2022. It's going to be fun.
Well, I'll say thanks for coming.
Now I don't know what to say. That's what
I say peace. You got to say peace. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Peace.